feeling, man?
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. The wind's in my sails. Been a nice couple of days. I'm feeling refreshed. There's not too much to complain about right now. All is well. All is well.
I can't lie. I think I just had a problem with the recording, but we're recording again now. I think I just caught teacher, but I'm not gonna lie. That's like the third time he said hi to everyone, so I ain't gonna do it again. Today we got Tops, we got Tyler, Ohio there, and Owen. Everyone, we got the grid view today, so you can see everyone. You can see all the smiles. You know why the smiles are there. You know why the smiles are there. 6 points in a week.
W Hotel.
Started with the North London derby.
What?
Told you,
He wants to take it. I think we all predicted the win last week, to be honest. I think we all predicted it.
I stuck my neck out.
Yeah.
Put me in it.
So what did you think? What did you think? Like, let's not even go straight to the victory. What did you think at the lineup? When you saw the lineup going into the game, what did you think?
It was predictable.
Yeah.
It was to be expected, and yeah, it done the job. I felt like Winks was needed in there, and Lo Celso was playing well enough to start. I can't remember if Ndombele was injured before the Newcastle game or the Arsenal game, but I didn't feel like he was going to start anyway.
Yeah.
Solid centre-back pairing because of the air suspension. So yeah, on the whole, most people could have guessed it. Or guessed what it would have been before anyway.
Formation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time I played 4-4-2 in, I don't even, probably since the Harry Redknapp days, no?
Most likely.
You guys think it looks better?
I think it looked really good against Arsenal. Really good.
Yeah. Definitely worked having Sissoko basically on that right side, looking after Aurier, doing this job, and then pretty much as well, like you had Lucas as well, pretty much doing his bit for Davies on the left hand side as well. So that kind of worked for us still.
I thought Lucas had a really good game compared to like some of the other games in recent weeks. He's definitely digging in with his tackles, and that I thought was instrumental for one of the goals. I think he won it. I can't remember who he tackled, and then passed it off to Kane, and Kane laid it off to, I think, Lo Celso. Was that the second goal?
Yeah.
I think he had the most tackles in the game, or I think he had 10 or 11 tackles, which was a bit mad for left winger. But he just no matter what you think of him, you have to respect the work rate on the day. Like it was nuts.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you guys think that formation is the way forward with Kane? And you don't think so?
No. It definitely works against teams which play with full backs with like a 5 or a 3 at the back.
Yeah.
And it just kind of limits the option. Like most people think that just playing against those kind of teams, you just match them up with a 3 or 5 at the back. But Daddy done a good job on that and just put the right midfielders on their fullback to stop the supply there. And I didn't realise, like watching the game as well, that Lucas had got so many tackles. Like I hadn't had to watch that back, and I saw the stats afterwards. I was like, oh, well, okay. I'll give him his dues on that one. And him playing on the left just suited his dribbling style as well.
You can't really fault him, to be honest, as well, because I think that's the sort of player he is, isn't he? Like, he's very happy to, he's not lazy, is he? You know, so he's always happy to do the running, always happy to do the tackling, leaves his foot in. So on that front, he's sort of the kind of player we needed for that sort of game as well. And actually, the fact that we had both him and Sissoko basically helping the fullbacks doing what they needed to do was perfect in the end, you know.
Such wholesome stories coming out about Lucas as well recently, about dropping off food, like during lockdown and stuff, being like one of the key cogs in the team when it comes to motivational speaking and being able to speak French to French guys and motivating other teammates as well. You're just like, oh, okay.
He's like that.
If you weren't so nice, maybe someone would actually grab you and be like, look, please just 1-2 it once. I'll give you his dues for that game, though.
You know them uncles that used to come to your house and when they leave, they're like, oh, shake my hand, and then they'll slip you that £10 like this way, mother.
That's Lucas. Yeah.
That's how Lucas was moving.
He's trying to keep Lloris and Son together, man. He's trying to keep the dressing room together now, man.
That was funny, man.
Touching on what Owen said about nullifying the 3 at the back, it did remind me quite heavily of how Leicester were playing when they won the title. Most teams by that time had transitioned to a 3 at the back, and they just soaked up pressure and tried to hit them on the break, and we did well with that. It's probably the first time I felt like Jose tactically matched what we were going to face and did it throughout the course of the game, made little tweaks and it worked. So no complaints from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, to echo that as well. Like, I remember the game against Liverpool where he set up with Tanganga and Sergio Aurier kind of like his two right backs to stop Mane and Robertson getting forward. And you can say what you want about Mourinho. In these one-off big games, he's a genius at setting up a team well. Whether the team can carry out his plan is one thing, but I think that he actually knows how to set up a team really well. And we saw that against Arsenal. We let them have the ball in defence. Xhaka and Ceballos looked good with the little turns, but it wasn't really doing anything, if we're being real. Like, for the first time when watching North London derby, I felt slightly confident, considering how poor we've been recently.
Yeah, like we didn't have the ball a lot, I would say, but I was confident that was more part of our plan than just them playing great possessive football. To me personally, I thought maybe like Lacazette. Oh, Tierney. Apart from Tierney was probably their best player, and I thought Lacazette might have looked like their second best player, which said a lot about their performance on the day. Yeah, when Lacazette, that shot that went in, I think it was Aurier sort of made. Was it Aurier? Did it head? Was it a header? I think Sissoko's header. Aurier heavy touch, and then
cleaned it up. Missed tackle. Yeah. 50-50 tackle. Yeah.
I'm trying to give him a little bit of credit, man.
Yeah.
We have to try. We can't be too harsh, but it's true.
And then obviously,
had quite a good game as well.
Ceballos, he looks alright.
I thought he cleaned up. I'm obviously not trying to praise them man too tough.
Yeah,
I thought he cleaned up fairly well. Like matchup wise, him and Lo Celso. I was thinking it wasn't Lo Celso's best game, but at the same time, how many times has he played in an organised, structured, mildly defensive 4-4-2? Like that's not his style. So maybe he struggled a little bit, but he wasn't awful. You know, kept it clean. He was still pretty press resistant. But I think if you want to call it a one-on-one between him and Ceballos, I think Ceballos won that one on the day. I think.
Yeah, I felt it was a game of loads of good individual battles, which is what I think you can expect in a North London derby. But Spurs obviously got the upper hand on this occasion. But I felt what was most exciting for me was this is probably the first time in maybe 3 or 4 months of watching football where I felt actually Spurs are playing here with a plan, with a desire, and with a real intent. I feel like a lot of time when we're passing that ball around, sometimes it looks pretty and whatnot, but you have to question whether or not there's any real intent in terms of putting that ball in the back of the net. But I feel like you saw that this time round. And it could just be the fact that the fires are burning because it's the North London derby, but I don't know, man. The games that preceded that will then start to tell a picture of, are we starting to get it right? That's the question.
No, I agree. I think, did we start with the 4-4-2? I think we started we started with the 4-4-2. I thought it started it looked a bit, it looked a bit more similar to like a 4-3, I don't know, like a 4-3-2-1 kind of thing to me. And then it looked like he reacted. Well, I was going to try and praise Mourinho for that. I felt like in this game, it felt like he was getting his game plan sort of to work more than I've seen in other games. In other games, like I felt like, cool, he had the defense working a bit better, but it didn't look like everybody was on board at the time. Like it looked like maybe you'd have Lucas having these sort of like runs where it looked like FIFA sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Like he's just,
every now and then.
Yeah, he's just playing his own game. And I'm not going to lie, actually, when Lamela came on, so I was telling the guys a bit earlier, like I had my eyes on Lamela in this game. Like I wanted to see if he's worthy of, like, we've been a bit harsh on Lamela the past few weeks. I wanted to see like whether or not that was warranted or not, you know? So to me, I feel like for the goal, specifically for Kane's last goal, I feel like Lamela had one of those runs where it was one of those headless chicken runs again. And then I can't lie, if he didn't make that run, there probably wouldn't have been a third goal. I don't know what you guys think.
It's true.
And he did a bit of work in the box as well to get the shot off. And I feel like maybe if that dropped to Mora, that we might not have got that last bit. Maybe if it dropped to Son, it would have just went in. I'm not going to lie. But it's just, I think he's working on it. He's coming around, and that kind of stuff does have a place in our side, even if it is on the bench. I don't know what you guys think.
Were you referring to the Newcastle thing?
Yeah, man, you know, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm mixing up the games.
See,
My bad.
this is how you know we're so not used to winning 2 games in a row. We've now put games together because we all knew what man was talking about, but it's like, wait, which game are you talking about again?
Hold on a second. Everyone's just thinking, right? No, seriously, that's the last score I was thinking of. Before, right, let's not even go there. On my Lamella watch. Is there anything else anyone wanted to bring up on this Arsenal game? I thought Lacazette's goal was pepper. I can't lie.
Yeah. You got to
That
give
goal
credit.
was crazy.
It was pepper. It was pepper.
Even with no crowd, the celebration was lit. Like he's done that exact same goal for Leon, I think, and he just stood there, stiff face, and he done it like there were bare people in the Southland. I was like,
see, I'm getting a bit. I'm starting to twitch a bit, man. Too much Guna praise, man.
Don't worry.
Did anyone notice that Aubameyang had that stupid Flair icon from FIFA etched into his head, bro? Oh.
He's so extra, man. Honestly, he's like one of them ass uncles, man. He just like you go to the barber. He says, "Give me anything, I don't mind. Just make me look suave."
He just says, "Give me some of that airbrush, bro." That's what
man.
Young
wait, hold on, big up Toby though. I think that looked like the Toby of old, you know. I was a bit fearful when we lost Dyer, obviously, and obviously Toby had been in a bit of decline, but he just sort of everything. There was a really, really vital block that he had on the edge of the box. I don't know who was it. He blocked somebody's shot. It might have been Bellerin coming in on his left foot or something. We just looked a lot more organised. And I know at times over the season, it's been like if a team is breaking on us or is passing in and around the box, I'm just counting down until they score. Whereas even though we had the structure in place, we didn't quite execute it. Like, you know, when Jose took Inter to the new camp and Samuel Eto'o was playing right wing back, it wasn't quite the masterclass, but I did feel a tiny bit more confident just from the way Toby was just commanding and patrolling everything. So that was encouraging to see Toby like justifying the contract, should we say?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like, and if you think about it as well, the last like 4 games, you know, we have like only conceded 2 goals, one against Arsenal, one against Newcastle, and we didn't concede against Everton, we didn't concede against Bournemouth as well. So it seems, and that's all 4 games since Sheffield United. So obviously there must be, you know, some words were definitely must have been had about how we are defensively, and obviously like even, you know, arguably I say Sanchez has looked quite good in the last couple of games as well. Like we've looked a bit more short at the back. Like it doesn't look like we're looking to make many mistakes or do too much of it. We're just looking to just defend when we need to, and then get the ball, you know, to the guys that can do work with it. You know, I personally think as well, shout out defensive work from Winks. I think Winks has been very good the last couple of games. Like he's, even though like you can tell like that's not probably his position. Like not only is he working hard for the team defensively, but when he's on the ball, you know, he's very progressive, looking to move forward, looking to like advance the play. So I think he's been also very good for us as well on both sides of the field, you know.
It's a struggle of balance.
I don't know. I thought he got a little bit overrun against Arsenal, you know. Like I saw him lose a few duels, and he committed a few fouls, and I think he got away with just only getting like the 1 booking. It was a few fouls until he got that booking. That he looked like he got turned a few times, like in our area. I agree with the Davinson Sanchez thing though. Like he struggled in North London derbies in the past, hasn't he? And he played right back at the game at the Emirates, and he was doing okay in the duels against the Aubameyang, but on the ball he just looked shaggy, and I think he made the error for them to score just before half time, and he had a pretty poor game in the North London derby before that. So it's good to see him and Toby getting that sufficient protection, and they look solid throughout, to be fair.
To be fair, it's been a while since I've seen Tottenham successfully do a kind of smash and grab result, especially against a big team. Like after the Toby got, I feel like
big team. Relax, big man.
Someone correct him for that one. Edit that one out anyway.
Where are Arsenal right now? Like 9th?
No, forget them, man.
Below us, innit? That's all I know.
Yeah, they're definitely below the man.
I wanted to start with the good stuff here. Let's move on, bro. Pepe is a fraud. Oh my days.
Yeah, that boy's seen the living. He's just Jovino that's come back to haunt them. Jovino was no hair. He's literally just back to the same job Jovino was once doing for more money.
For more money. 72. Oh, good.
Jesus.
Hot
Yeah,
ass.
It could be worse. It could be worse in North London, innit? It could be worse.
Yeah, it could
Saka
be,
could be your best player.
Did you not see the passion and the happiness and excitement on Alderweireld's face? That tells me something, you know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that celebration because I watched that and thought, you know what? For everything that's been going on over the last 3 or 4 years, you know, the contract being re-signed, whether or not that was going to happen, the debate around it, like you can tell. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but it was fair to say, based on that there was a man that enjoyed scoring a goal for the club that he's a part of, and he looked like he was passionate about that derby. And I think that's what you need. That's what you need from your centre back to, do you know what I mean? Show some passion, show some enthusiasm, and grab the game.
Yeah, you man see what happens when we get a corner past the first man. We actually score.
I know, like, you know, we actually look like a bit of a threat when we have some of these deliveries from Lo Celso and Son, you know, for once. Like, because set pieces have just been arse the last few years for us, man. So, boy, that's like amazing for us to score and win a game from a set piece. Man,
Shout out Ericsson, man.
Got one against West Ham as well, didn't we? It was no goal, but...
Hey, that was our best player for a while, man.
Shout out Ericsson, man. He did his thing. Shout out him. Fuck his corners, though.
Would anyone have Ericsson back at this moment?
Yeah.
I would. I think I would, but I just don't know where his head is at, man. Like, I was reading some reports yesterday as well that they're not really feeling him at Inter, but apparently they're not willing to get rid of him because he's on mad peas, I think.
Do you know what it is for me? Yeah? Like, I just feel like the last 2 years he was just like, obviously he had his moments because the rest of the team they've had their moments as well, but. I mean, yeah, man, it wasn't the same Ericsson that I'm expecting to see on the pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just flashes of brilliance, man.
Coasting along, just there to be there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again.
And still somehow pulling out a mad assist just for the one good thing.
From somewhere.
I don't know how he did it, but he earned the right to leave, man. Shout out the bail money and that.
The Melon standing.
The Mellor's the last man standing, man. No, I still got faith. So I think give him a good run of games in a good side, and we've got some of these good players coming in now. And I think that eventually he's gonna figure out that he's playing football, not UFC. From there on, we're good.
The UFC's in him though. He'll never leave it. He needs the scrap. There's never a game where I've witnessed Lamela, even if he's just on for 20 minutes, not do something which is controversial or something with some malice intent behind it. You always see
never been a game that I've seen where he's not been internally screaming every time he gets the ball. I can hear him from where I'm watching the game.
He loves it. I love him. He's a character. He's like I feel like he's one of those players who, you know, we were talking about who's going to have the fire in their belly for Arsenal. He was one of those players. I think that would have given the players that fire in their belly.
Both him and Lo Celso, innit? They got that disgusting bastardness in them that you need.
I love him,
James here, you're just baiting me out to use some of these British buzzwords as well. I see you. Over there.
You're trying to hand that one over.
So, I mean, what are we saying about... did you guys see Mourinho after the match talking about his Spurs stats? I think he said Spurs have been top 4. If the league started when he joined, Spurs would be 4th, I think. I
think it was 3rd, wasn't it?
41, 3rd? Is it 3rd? It might be
3rd. Yeah.
Third. Behind, I think, Liverpool and Man City.
Yeah.
So I do feel like Mourinho has a way of pointing towards stats that flatter him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that, and it's a fair point to make. But at the same time, it's like, that's not the job, innit? Like, because we're not 3rd right now, innit? So I appreciate that,
But is it something to look forward to then? Is it like, I guess, or the gist of what I got from him is that he's getting the job done. Like, even if it doesn't look pretty, he feels like he's getting the job done.
But what I would say back to that, though, is I really feel like the games that Mourinho's won, barring the Arsenal game, and I don't even know how comfortable I feel saying this, but the games that Mourinho's won have been games which typically you would expect Spurs to win. I feel like when we've been tested, i.e. come up against Man United, and a couple of other sort of top 6 clubs, we've not performed very well and we've not got the result. So, do you know what I mean? He's had a reasonable run of games, which I think would contribute towards that metric that he's providing us with the whole top 3 thing. But at the same time, like, when you've been tested, you haven't always done it. And that's also fair to say.
I know what you mean about the performance levels, though, but we beat Arsenal. We beat Man City, even though we jammed that one. We drew to Man United. We could have arguably lost that. Like, there's been a lot of thing recently, like more after the Bournemouth game. I guess there was like an easy to jump on narrative where it was just like Jose's attacking plan, and like fair play to the day ones that have said it since he was appointed, and etc. etc. But I don't know, I felt like that was a bit harsh from the start. Like before the restart, I felt like we were averaging at least like 2 goals most games. Like we scored 2 goals plus against Brighton, Wolves, Burnley.
Villa, I think, as well.
The Olympiacos in the Champions League, sorry. Yeah, we were scoring quite a lot of goals even before the restart, and then we got all of our players injured, and now since the restart, he's wanted to build from the back up. And he's got an attack which, I mean, I don't really know how much Pochettino coached the actual attacking movement as well. Like, he would obviously coach us extremely well at having control of the game. But we had an attack which heavily over-relied on Christian Eriksen.
Yes,
who he doesn't have.
Agree.
Yeah. As well as that, so
I mean, to give like context to what Mourinho said as well, I looked up what Poch's statistics for this season, and Poch got 14 points in 12 games, which is basically that's relegation form. I worked it out over the 38 games, and it was about something like 34 points. I mean, sorry, it was like 44 points or 43 points, which is like relegation scrap there or there.
Argentinian Eddie Howe and that.
Yeah.
Scary.
It was scary. But then you think of other seasons, and we were right up there, like near enough the same team, innit? And we've got some better.
Like, I think Owen's point is a good one as well, because like even as like as a Tottenham fan, you know, me in my like early 30s, I've never really seen us do much, but I feel like we've been like very lucky to have someone like Pochettino, because he's kind of, in a way, like he sport us in the sense that the way he has allowed us to play like free-flowing, attacking, quite fluid football like over these last few years. And then obviously the way he's like, the drop-off from what he was doing when he first came to basically how he ended has been quite mad. And it's funny as well that you're saying with regards to like the performances and the results, because like, do you know how I feel like when it comes to like Spurs? Like sometimes, like you see that meme of like Kobe holding the cup, like the trophy, but he's vexed.
So we won. Wow, what cost in it?
We won, but at what cost? What is this, man? Like we're just winning, but at what cost? Is this what we're turning to? Like, but I just keep thinking, it's not his team, it's not his players, it's not. You know what I mean? He hasn't got the vibe that he wants on it yet. So fine, if he's going to get us to this point. And arguably, like, whilst you're giving like Tottenham the eye test, fine, we don't look amazing, but the stats speak for itself. You know, if we rightly picked up the most points, then like after teams like Liverpool, Man City, then you know what, I can't argue with that. But you also think as well, like, you know, you've had all them good years. Finally, we didn't win nothing, but all them good years of proper good, decent football to watch. Then you're thinking, okay, hopefully we can maybe turn it around, isn't it?
I think for me personally, I think I'm a bit less, because I've accepted what Tottenham are from day. Do you know what I'm saying? I think the first year I supported Tottenham was the year before, or the year Sol Campbell left. So I already knew what kind of ride I was in for from jumping. You know what I mean? So like, I
can't be mentioning Judas' name on this podcast. Sorry.
Well, yeah, bleep that on a Voldemort thing. But it's like. I think I'm less pressed. Obviously, I loved watching. I felt Poch spoiled us a bit with like with what we got to watch. You know, I used to tell on TV like, "Oh, we look good today." Even if we lost 2-1, I'd be like, "We look good today." Do you know what I mean? So I'm a bit less pressed about being a more defensive team that plays on the break, because I don't mind. Like some goals on the break look really good. Like, you know, when Lamela effectively got an assist for Kane in the last goal against Newcastle. But I think it's a case of like, if we're playing defensively, I want the whole defensive performance to actually be good, not to sort of have a structure in place that isn't really banging and we're relying on the likes of Arsenal not to finish their dinner properly. Do you know what I mean? Like, because besides Aubameyang hitting the post, he didn't really do anything else. Besides Lacazette smashing it from wherever he smashed it from, didn't do a lot besides some hold-up play. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think we're a little bit reliant on Arsenal not actually being great in possession. Whereas if you look at Sheffield, I don't want to go too far back because we are very much in the W Hotel. But when we went to Bramall Lane, man like David McGoldrick was finishing his dinner.
McBurney and them, man.
Man like McBurney was finishing his dinner. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's less. I'm less bothered about the way we're playing, like in terms of the structure and the formation, the style, and all that. It's just the performance itself has to match. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if we throw back to Emery, how many unbeaten games did Arsenal have? And they were all doing 22 unbeaten in all comps. But everyone could see that Arsenal were not actually playing well. They just kept not losing, and then it shattered. Do you know what I mean? But nowadays, I see Mourinho as top 4 Sam Allardyce these days. You come in, you do a job. You get us back to there, and then you're on your way. He's not going to be on his way for a little while, fortunately or unfortunately. But I'm not Jose's fan whatsoever. But I'm always give the manager time. If we're going to give him players, please just get the right ones.
That's it, man.
I don't want to see Fellaini come back. I don't want to see
no Willian, none of that rubbish.
You know what I'm saying? Ricardo Carvalho out of retirement, all these man. Like, I don't need that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you made some valid points here. I mean, for me, like I've said it from day one. Like, I'm not a big fan of Mourinho, but there's elements of what he brings that I appreciate, both on the pitch and mentality-wise or whatever. For me, like as you said, performance is the most important thing because stats can tell one narrative, but when you give it the eye test, you can blow it apart. For me, we look a lot more organised and we look a lot more balanced, which again are things that are hallmarks of Jose teams. And thankfully, we've showed a bit more of a clinical instinct in front of goal as well, which again is another hallmark. I mean, for me, the big test is going to be next season because as much as he wants to bring up, we would have been third if he had been here or whatever his narrative was. The fact of the matter is this whole season's been a write-off from the very beginning. Yeah. So we'll call a spade. Like, this is his preseason. This is the team's preseason. This is his opportunity to do what he said he wanted to do, and that's work with the players. So very much at the minute, I'm just coasting towards seeing whether or not we get Europa League to potentially cripple our season, or whether or not we can go in and just focus on what we need to focus on, and that's winning a cup and getting as high up the table as possible next season. So it feels good at the minute, but it's very much just let's ride it out. Let's see what happens.
So I mean, after the Arsenal match, we're thinking. I mean, Mourinho's talking about things like the squad. I think in his pre-game interview, he was talking about he feels like he's unfairly asked or unfairly pressured to get people into the squad.
Yeah,
he says that they don't ask Pep. What does Bernardo Silva have to do to get into the lineup? He feels that they only ask him that about Ndombele. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You think he's just? I feel like, I don't know. I know I'm answering my own question here, but I feel like Mourinho is the master of narratives. He's always got a narrative. He's always bringing something up to stop you from talking about the real issue.
It's the charisma and the charm that gets you.
Yeah, man.
Trust me.
He's a genius.
I think he was answering that question about Bergwijn at the time as well. But yeah, it was. Yeah. I think it was pretty spot on. And like generally in his press conferences and stuff, he like tends to feel challenged and he'll just come out with this and that, and it just spins the narrative completely. And I feel like the charm's working. It's working on me though, boy.
It's a lot more palatable when he's winning because I don't think it's special anymore, and that charisma is not there anymore. But he does have a way with words, and he is quite eloquent when he does get into his spiel. But at the same time, it's like, again, you're just saying things to say things at this point because you don't really have to address it. You could just say, I picked the team, that's the conversation done. But I think I do feel like there's an element of him assessing the situation, and maybe Levy's given him some assurances because he keeps taking aim at Pep, Klopp, all of those top top boys who realistically he shouldn't really be at the dinner table with. Like, you're not on the same lunch rota as them, man, innit? Like, they're head they get to run the line, they get to see the queue. You're just there, you're sitting there, like, watching these, man, every moment of every day, being like, I want to be like that.
He's hungry, fam.
Like, realistically, well, I feel like he does have that quiet confidence or arrogance or whatever it is that is going to drive him to trying to compete with them next year and the year after. And by year 3, he'll probably have pillaged our club. But yeah.
As is protocol.
I can't lie, I'm not missing Pochettino's riddles in his press conference. It's really pissed me off.
The thing I love about his mentality, though, is just like we do need a manager who has actually won something before, and he's just been driving that whole mentality of winning something. We just have no one at club level that has won anything, unless you're counting the Eredivisie.
You got the World Cup in there.
Hosted the World Cup.
You got the World Cup in there, but I guess he just stood still.
Exactly. Bummy looking guy.
Yeah, I think we need that.
Yes, it's I think we're on the right path. There definitely will be some changes needed. I just wanted to throw out there as well, RIP for Aurier's brother. That was crazy. Like, even to see Aurier start, and I think Mourinho said that Aurier asked to play in the match. But like, yeah, that's crazy to me. Like, to see him play and have such a good performance. I thought personally in the Newcastle match as well. Like, it looked like it just looked like he was expressing himself, man. He had I feel like you had Sissoko again. There's a little partnership between them. I feel like they're getting a bit of an understanding, and I'm happy to see it. I want to see more of it, as long as it looks like this anyway. Who wants to take us into the Newcastle game?
I'll start us off. Was anyone else a bit confused with the lineup? Not the lineup itself, but 1 minute I thought it was 4-4-2. The next I was like, well, maybe this is 4-4-3. The next I was like, is this 4-2-3? I was just genuinely quite confused as to what our setup was, because I was like, are we overloading on the right side? So when we're overloading on the right, like, Son can come in and play as second striker, and then when we overload on the left, Mora can do the same thing. I wasn't sure if we were trying to do that sort of pendulum thing going forward, but I was like, is that intentional, or are we just playing a narrow 4-3-3? So I was genuinely quite confused by how we were playing, to be honest. Not in a bad way. I don't know if that was just my lack of interpretation.
Yeah. I felt like we had two formations. I felt like we had one when was on the ball, one was off the ball, and we were sort of changing dynamically between those. I felt like when we had possession, we would move at pace, and I felt it was more of a 4-3-3. And then when we were out position, either Lucas or Son would then drop back, and we'd go back into that 4-4-2 formation to give the added support for the fullbacks. I don't know, that was my view.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely how it was running over the course of the game. At one point, we did switch to a 4-2-3-1 as well, which wasn't really working too tough. Again, sort of highlighting that Lo Celso's role within the team is a little bit of a sticky one. But then at the same time, I think it just goes to show again, like, balance out of possession is probably the most vital thing in football, is making sure that if you do have weaknesses, you cover them, and if you do have strengths, you accentuate them. So it was refreshing to see him stick with the same team and not just chop and change for no reason, but also seeing how that sort of philosophy of having the overload side and having the more defensive side, we're now starting to see that shift a little bit to where it's not just a one-trick pony type of idea, and we're seeing glimpses of doing both over the course of the game. So I was quite pleased with it from a tactical standpoint.
Yeah.
Apart from Saint-Maximin running through the heart of our defence for half an hour.
He's good though, you know. He made me realise that he's
cold.
I was scared a lot with the Gucci.
I feel like once they put Sissoko on him, though, it did make the game a lot more difficult for him. Like, in the first half, for a lot of the first half, he just felt like he was running riot, like, straight through the middle, just give him the ball like at the halfway line, it doesn't matter, and he'll just run through the whole team. I had flashbacks thinking of the game before Sissoko joined us, if you guys remember that one. I think it was like the 5-1. Yeah, I was having flashbacks of that game, just hoping it didn't turn into that. But I mean, what was it? Matt Ritchie, who scored his goal?
Brilliant goal.
Yeah, that was
a great goal.
Was a
top finish, you know.
Cracker. But that was a bit. I think at that moment there, if I'm honest, I'm thinking, here we go again.
Yeah, I thought.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. Like, that's like the typical Spurs. Though you think, oh, here's the moment where now we're a bit under pressure. Hopefully these men don't collapse. Like, let's just try and get onto the ball, hold it a little bit. You know, try and get to that second drinks break and maybe recoup from there.
I think that's something to praise Mourinho on, though. You could argue is that already us improving our mentality, because both Arsenal, we was gifted a goal, but then Arsenal and Newcastle, we scored minutes after we went behind. And we never really used to do that. We never used to get them goals when we're not playing well or behind. So it's improvement in my eyes.
I have to say, I have to agree.
I think Arsenal dominated us in possession, and then Newcastle literally peppered us with shots for 90 minutes. Like, it was that was a bit crazy. But at the end of the day, I guess, shots on target, the ones that go in the net are the only ones that matter, man. So
there's no one better than doing that than Sir Harold Kane.
That's it, man.
Harold Kane, man. Best striker in the league.
What did you think of Harry's game? Did you think he contributed all over the pitch, or do you think he just contributed with the goals?
I think he was a lot more. I think he got more. So since restart, it's been a struggle for him because, like you said, he's felt like he's had to be everywhere. I can't remember the lady's name. Was it Karen Kearney? I think her name was in the pre-match. She made a point where it's like, now that there's no proper deep line playmaker there, Kane's like, right, I've actually got to get further away from goal to make stuff happen. So, maybe the way we set up at Arsenal, I know he tried to chip Martinez. It didn't quite come off, but I don't know if it was me and the bar was mad low. I was like, right, like, Kane's had a touch in the box. And I'm genuinely happy about it.
Wow.
And then it gets over the bar's lower than that. But then it gets Newcastle. I was like, okay, he's getting the ball from only about 25 yards out now. This is a change. Do you know what I mean? So I think, I don't know, maybe the style of our defending now allows him to stay further forward. He's got a lot less. His kilometers a game was probably a lot lower. I didn't check the stats. I'm not stat ball enough, but I presume it was a lot lower. He has a lot more energy to actually do stuff in and around the box. So I think, did he contribute less defensively? Yes, but I think that's probably a good thing that we're in a position for him to no longer have to do that as of recent anyway.
It's funny though, because I want to get onto these stat merchants later. These guys are just media page. But like Kane, I thought played really well against Arsenal. He was involved a lot more, drifting out to the left, play. But he didn't score, so no one will say a peep. But then when he scores twice against Newcastle, I didn't think he had his best game against Newcastle. I actually saw the stats because I'm a nerd, and he ran like 11 kilometers against Newcastle, which was, I think, the second most in that game.
Most.
So he's still putting in a shift, man. He's getting back to his best, I think.
Yeah. I think we have to take into account that, again, this guy's been out football for 6 months, and even since the restart as well. Was he on 3 or 4 goals? So he's clearly getting back to his best. And I think as well, as Ahaya said, like, maybe the way that we're playing is kind of suiting him, because like as well, I think about the Arsenal game, we were getting a lot of the ball, especially after the second drinks break. We were getting a lot of the ball in like that sort of final third half space. And then it was kind of allowing him to kind of like move into the channels or right through the middle, where he was having one-on-ones with like people like Mustafi. So he was actually able to kind of influence the game and bring other people into the game.
He had Mustafi on his backside countless times, bro. It's so fun.
Yeah, man. But like, I think he's improving as well. And again, like, this is someone who, as you all know, scored 201, career goals. Like, he's definitely up there with some of the greats who have scored more than 200 goals in the Premier League. This is someone who's clearly crafted his game, improved his game as the years have gone by. And he does know where the goal is. Like, if you think about the goal that he scored, like, it was very good quality for Bergevin to bring him in, find him, but he realizes the defender's there and he has to hit it across the goal. He does that. Then if you think about the Lamela goal, Lamela was dancing his way, whatever he was doing, pammed it, and Kane still had to be there. It was like that goal he scored against Leicester. You have to kind of find yourself in the right spot to make sure that you hit the ball and you get it on target. So you have to respect it. Like,
yeah, and the thing is, he's not. Forgive me for saying it. He's not the most pacey guy, so you've got to give credit to his positioning. His positioning is world class. He knows where the goals are coming from. He knows where the threats are, and there's no one you trust more in the Spurs jersey to tuck it in the back of the net when it does arrive to him. I do want to give credit to that delivery from Bergwijn, though.
It was delicious. It was delicious.
Beauty.
First
It
class.
just adds to my agenda, man. What Bergwijn's going to be not playing number 10, I'm telling you.
Run it.
No, it was delicious. But we see what happens when Kane gets service. Man has been...
Yes.
That's it.
Kane is on intermittent fasting with all the service, the lack of service he's getting, bro. And then finally, just the cross was so nice. I was just genuinely. I wasn't even just happy that we scored. I was just happy for Kane that someone was like, you know what, have this one, take that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because he's been asking for time. He's been like, yo, play me in, but they don't want to play it. But then he got it.
It was one of those crosses with Stephen as well. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna whip this in, treat yourself. And it was the calmest header. It's like he just filled it off, and you saw the ball coming towards me. Well, that's going in.
But I feel like Stevie's got that calm head as well. Like, he's one of those players, man. He's definitely like head in the game, 100%. Like, he knows where people want it. I've seen him countless times, like when he plays with Lamela, especially. Like, think about passing it to him and then think, you know what? Like, maybe there's a like, he's one of those guys who's like, he's got his head in the game. Like, he's definitely reading a couple passes ahead. I like it, man.
But that's how you know that Kane's world class as well, though. Because like, even when man's on intermittent fasting, starved. When the chances come, he's putting them away. He's putting every single one of his eating.
Yeah. You don't mess about, man. He's here for them dinners, bro. You think Rashford's the only one who knows about dinners?
certain title winners, strikers can't even smell the goal, bro. And, you know, you bring Kane into it. Man's putting that way every time, man.
Every time. And you know what? You got to give a shout out to Son as well. I mean, he's got 11 goals and assists now. I think 11 goals, 11 assists.
11, yeah.
The only other player I think was like De Bruyne, who has double digits for both, something like that. Like, you have to rate that, man. Like, that is a front two there. If we're gonna start playing 4-4-2, I'm happy with it.
So certain comparing Son to Zaha, and I was like,
oh, for goodness sake, what is this, man?
The thing is, like, Zaha, he's one of those guys, man. Like, he's got all the ability in the world, but when you're talking about application, man, like, you're gonna pick Son all day.
Yeah. And I've been quite critical of Son since the return of the pandemic, but he's these last two games against Arsenal and Newcastle, you're starting to see the remnants of what was there before. Do you know what I mean? That hunger for goal, but also that clinical ability just to get into space and bury it. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that I feel like he's sort of. But is that because he hasn't been getting the service? So I was going to say that's something like I feel like he's been lacking that sort of clinicalness. But I feel like.
Do you remember just before he broke his arm?
Yeah,
he was scoring like every game. He went on a run. Do you remember? I think he scored. I think that's when we beat City, if I remember correctly. Scored against like Villa. And then I think he got injured after that. But yeah, he was on a run. Yeah. He was scoring goals. He was just looking a lot more clinical. So I don't know if it's just that little break in play that's just now he's
slowed him down a bit.
Yeah, just slowed him down. Just took him off the pace, and just now he's getting back to it, man. He's just looking.
His game definitely benefits from having like a partner to work off of as well. He works really well with Dele, especially when Dele sort of drifts into wider space, because then he can cut inwards. And I feel like Kane is benefiting from that as well, is actually being able to link up with a player. And against Arsenal, he was getting a lot of knockdowns. And then against Newcastle, he was able to sort of occupy one of the centre-backs instead of playing between two. So, again, it's just about finding ways to get the best out of everyone. And
he scored a lot of goals with Llorente up top as well. Last season as well. The Son loves that. He has that finish of just hitting the near post with so much pace and power. Done it against City, done it obviously against Newcastle, done it against West Ham, but it was offside. Just loves that finish, man. Can't stop it.
And
he's
like,
both-footed, I feel like, so I know.
he's also had a bit of a
right
funny, like he's had a bit of a funny year. If you think about it as well. Like he was involved in that situation with Andre Gomez, had a few red cards. Like man went military, had to play up front by himself for a bit of time. Like he broke his arm, you know. So it's kind of been up and down, and to still have them stats, I think it's fairly impressive on his part as well, you know.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree. I think if we're talking the players who've had the most impressive seasons, we're talking Kane, Son, and then I don't know how you'd round out the last player. Yeah, I guess it comes down to your personal preference.
I'd say Lloris, funny enough.
Yeah.
Lloris has been immense since the restart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say Lloris as well, actually. Yeah, he has pulled us out of a couple this season, even when we've looked down and out. He really has stepped up.
So, guys, I wanted to ask about, I guess since we come out of the Newcastle match, I think Yedlin played left back. Rose is over there, isn't he? I don't even think, did he make the bench?
No, it was ineligible.
Ineligible, he can't play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, what's Rose's future with Spurs? Does he have a future there?
Keep him over at Newcastle, man.
Yeah, but can't we? I wish we could just take some of these guys, man. Like, I was looking at Newcastle thinking I liked quite a few of these players, man. Like, if there was a way we could get Saint Maximin, maybe even that Almiron guy looked quite good to me. Shelby, I just don't think he suits, like, I guess the
he's past it now. I felt like Saint Maximin was playing for a contract though, because I know Mourinho likes him, and I was hearing whispers of Spurs meant to be looking at him, and I felt like that every time he got the ball, he was trying to be as progressive as he could be. He was taking people on. He was getting shots off out of nowhere, which were good shots as well, good attempts. So I felt like he was making a statement to Mourinho there, like, boom, watch me properly, Car. If you're on it, this is what you could be receiving. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've seen that in the transfer rumours, though. So it'd be interesting. I don't know whether or not he could play in the team that we've got at the moment and where that would be. Like, I don't recognise him as a cam in a Spurs squad. I feel like he might fuck up the balance a little bit there, but he'll add us. He'll give us some depth, which we said. I don't know. Would you guys swap Lamela for Saint Maximin?
Yeah, easily. I'd even add Rose in. I'll throw him in, bro, on a banter.
How old is Saint Maximin though? How old is he?
I guess mid-20s.
I think he's like mid-20s, 25. I think he's 25.
Because he's like a real. I'd say he's like an out and out winger, no?
Oh wow, yeah. No, I like him, man.
Is he like an out and out winger?
He usually is, but I mean, in that Newcastle game, he seemed to make like a lot of runs through the middle. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the cause of a lot of adjustments in the first half, like especially before the drinks breaks. I don't think we expected him to play through the middle. And 23 would probably cost a bomb, but yeah.
He's a bit of a rough diamond, like.
When Lucas plays, he thinks he's Saint Maximin. Like, see the way Lucas like comes in the middle and tries to go past every man, and he never ever does it. He thinks he's Saint Maximin. I'll swap Lucas for him.
That's the only issue I have with that whole conversation, though, is we'll just be replacing guys who are quite limited and have that sort of head down juggernaut approach. With another one that realistically, in that particular game, he didn't show too much quality in terms of decision making and final ball. Those type of things for me are it's a sideways move. I'd prefer us to establish a little bit more quality in the depth, but.
So speaking of the transfer rumours, obviously, like, our market is where we're shopping. We're not looking in and around Dybala and Harrods and that anymore. Like, it'll come down a little bit.
Human.
So like, I personally want to start watching Southampton a bit more, just because I want to be able to have an opinion on Højbjerg, because I've heard a lot about it. I heard he's not, because I've read something about when Pep had him at Barca, he wanted to do X, Y, Z, but couldn't do anything else. And then I've now heard, one of my mates works for the Athletic. He's like the Southampton rep for the Athletic, and he's like, there's a lot of pros and cons. He's like very limited, but someone made a point. I don't know who it was on the timeline earlier. They were like, is our defense a lot more exposed because there isn't like technical protection? Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, Sissoko we can't really expect him to sit because he does have to go into the channels a lot to support Aurier in that. So it's like, has anyone seen Højbjerg up close? Like, does he have the defensive responsibility that we might need? Again, I would obviously rather somebody at a higher level than somebody who's playing DM for Southampton. But is his skill set what we potentially need defensively?
I think at our current level now, he's probably our ideal signing. Like, I've been doing a bit of research into him today because I saw a lot of rumours. And obviously we can get him a bit cheaper with the Kyle Walker-Peters swap deal as well.
Yeah.
He's captain of a Premier League team. Pep has bigged him up, which I'm going to buy into as well.
Yeah, you have to, man.
I saw like a stat comparison between him and Victor Wanyama in the 16-17 season. And it was so tight. Like, Højbjerg this season to Wanyama in Tottenham's best season in my lifetime. So it goes to show if you surround him with the likes of, Lo Celso and Ndombele just sitting, protecting them. I think he could be a really, really good signing, man. I really want him.
And I think sometimes as well, is he Norwegian or is he Danish?
Danish.
Yeah, he's vice captain for Denmark as well. So like, I think he's in his mid-20s. I think he's the sort of player that would kind of improve definitely in that midfield, in the sense that if we have someone who's decent technically on the ball, like, is happy to put a shift in. And, I think from watching him, from when I've seen him, he's fairly progressive. He does get into positions of intent and he does score some goals as well. So this is the sort of player, there's no reason why we shouldn't try and, make this deal happen. Like, as much as I've always kind of been a fan of Kyle Walker-Peters, I just don't feel like he's at that level. So why not just benefit from this situation and get him over,
He's only 24 as well.
Oh, I was going to say it. Yeah, so he's not that much older than Kyle Walker-Peters, is he? But I guess they're not. That doesn't sound like a straight swap to me.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Kyle cash as well.
Walker-Peters is 23. He's been around for a minute as well.
Yeah.
Højbjerg's only 24, so
exactly. Yeah, if they'll take cash plus Walker-Peters, then I'll bite the hand off. To be honest, just from what I've heard about Højbjerg, I would like to see. I want to try and see if Statbomb can drop anything. Because I'm trying to nerd out like Tyler, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. I think we just have to, rather than complain about the market, try and get the best out of the market. Get close to the top.
But you know what though? I feel like Kyle Walker-Peters has still got more to give in a Spurs jersey.
Really?
I'll be honest. I like him. I thought he's done okay at Southampton. I wouldn't say amazing.
He had a good game against Raheem Sterling the other day when they played Man City.
He did.
So did Foyth, and then Foyth is getting shipped out as well.
Yeah, true.
Foyth's a funny one, you see, because when I watch this guy, I actually think he's very good technically. But I think if, like, in another world, we would switch him and he would be a decent DM, because he's good in the air, he's not bad on his feet, he does love a challenge. But sometimes I feel like he has a mistake in him.
Yeah,
he's a bit
just wonder if he's going to
hot-headed.
grow up to be Luis.
Bro, if Lamella played centre back,
Yo,
he's got that mentality in him as well, bro. I'm a bit worried for him sometimes. Like, obviously he's skillful, he's good like Lamella as well. He's just got that bit of mentality where I just don't think he's gonna be the one you'd want to rely on, man.
I think when he does eventually get shipped out, I think he'll be one of those players that we look back and we're like, damn, why did we let him go? Because there's so many qualities to that kid. It's just sometimes you need right place, right time type of situation in it, and that's just not been it with the way Pochettino's sort of era went.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mourinho does not seem to fancy him at all.
Then again, though, it could be like another Fazio or one of those Holtby situations. There's a lot of names you could draw out from the past couple of years.
Man. Allow it, man.
Yeah, I thought Holtby was the truth for a while still when he was tackling referees.
That guy had a wicked left foot, man. Allow it, man.
We signed one guy with a sauce and we got excited, bro.
No, I think, all right, let's go on to, hold on. Let me check my notes quickly. All right. So, I mean, the way we're headed now. Sorry, hold on.
Right, Dan will edit this bit out. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. The way we're headed now, do you think Spurs are gonna go to Europe, or is that sort of off the cards now? Because I mean, 2 games ago, I guess everybody wasn't looking to.
Yeah.
Nobody
I
was
remember
looking forward to it.
saying I reckon we'll only get 6 points from our next 4 games, and we've already got that. So,
See ya. Peace.
so
Let's hope you were right, innit? Let's hope you were right about that one.
Yeah, I know. We could get Europe. I just don't know whether or not that's to our benefit or not. I think
definitely is.
it might potentially strengthen our position in terms of negotiating for new players and whatnot. But I don't know if really we're going to be in a period of making huge signings that are really going to reshape the Spurs outfit. I think it's more about solidifying what we have already, getting a level of consistency, and getting a team that are familiar playing under Mourinho's style, and keeping the people that we do want to keep, and getting rid of those that aren't necessarily going to stay for the long term. And I think if we don't have Europe, then we really have more of an opportunity to focus on getting as high up the table as we possibly can, and potentially getting ourselves in the Champions League. Whereas if it's a case of we're playing both European football, Premier League football, and God knows whatever else, the opportunities for us to get in that top 4, which is quite frankly where we should be and where we need to be, and where we need to be in order to attract those marquee signings, which are actually going to transform a team into a consistent qualifying Champions League team, then we need an opportunity, a period of time to grow, to develop, to set. And I worry that Europe might take our eye off the ball somewhat.
I totally agree. I've been saying this for weeks now. Like, in my head, I've already seen the scenario. We miss out on Europe, and Levy's going to have to put his best foot forward in order to give Jose what he needs, because ultimately, it's been 11 seasons with European football, and every single one of them where we've either been in the Europa League from the start or ended up in it, our season has collapsed by around February, March time. So I would prefer us to be able to have a whole season of Jose basically saying, all right, cool, this is my squad, this is what I want to achieve, and potentially exceed expectations by finishing a higher place than we would if we did have Europa League. And then we have a more solid foundation to build upon, and a sort of catalogue of evidence to suggest, okay, cool, maybe this team can challenge. I think it's a little bit backwards when people say, but we need to be in as many competitions as possible in order to win something, because we've been in every competition for 11 years and we ain't won jack shit.
Yeah, man. Pains.
Amen to that.
Circumstance would do us a big favour.
Yeah.
This
I wanted to challenge.
Maybe be like inhaling the fumes from the W Hotel, but I feel like we could actually be in the Europa League and push for top 4, because let's say in the Europa League you're playing farmers up until like the quarters, and the quarters will start to February-ish time. Yeah. So there's still a long time to put a run together, build confidence. I don't know. I feel like our squad is good enough to challenge the Europa League. Maybe not win it. Depends who gets knocked out of the Champions League. But it's good enough to challenge. And I feel like our squad is good enough to get in the top 4 as well.
I think just to quickly try and weigh up both sides before we move on, like on a summary thing, it's like, I don't know where I stand. I think one day I'm like, nah, fuck it, we don't need it. Like, let's just try and get up. On the other hand, I'm like, oh, well, that's supposed to be Mourinho's bag. Like, it would be nice to win a final for once. But it's like, if we don't get into Europa, the whole point of having someone like Mourinho is that he's supposed to have the level of clout to be able to attract a certain type of player to potentially come and push us up the table. On the flip, so we are sort of relying on that characteristic of his. On the other hand, it's like, I read that there's £40 million that we could be losing out on if we don't go. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, if we get that 40, how much of it is going back into the stadium? How much of it is going into Jose's transfer plans? Are we going to get a good, savvy director of football? Fingers crossed for Luis Campos, as always. Like, it's just there's just a lot of floating pieces about, and it's like, so this isn't going to be very helpful. I personally still don't have an answer. I think just whatever situation happens, Jose just needs to do what he was brought here to do over the transfer window, basically. I think that's it. His clout, the clout he's been carrying, the one that people are still Mourinho FC even before he was at Tottenham. Whatever them lot are seeing in him, we need actual good players to see it in Mourinho as well and to be like, I believe in what Mourinho's trying to do here. I'm going to come to the lane. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like my personal opinion is that like whilst Europa is a distraction, I kind of feel like we as a club need to understand that these years are going to be a bit formative in the sense that the stadium needs paying off. We lost a lot of extra cash that we could have got from all the things that were cancelled during COVID and stuff. So I kind of believe he has to kind of work with the tools that he's got, but also agreeing with Ohio in the sense that this is Jose Mourinho. If you're paying him 12, 15 million a year, his name alone should be the reason to kind of bring players in and be able to attract the kind of players to push us to the next level. I only really will support us being in the Europa League if we have a big enough squad. And when I say a big enough squad, a squad of players where the deadwood is gone and a lot of good or decent players are brought in and squad players are brought in to kind of fill out that squad, because I don't really see myself agreeing with Kane heading to like Kazakhstan on a Thursday when we got Wolves away on a Sunday, to be honest with you. We need to have a bigger squad to be able to do it. And if we do it, and if we don't do it, then we need to obviously make sure that the players that are there are going to be given 100%, but also they're going to be wanting to be there as opposed to being forced to be there because we couldn't get rid of them, I think the transfer market for us is so important this summer. And I'm wary that, when you have a new stadium, and I know we've got this 30-year plan and the repayments are kind of nice to us, but I still think like it's going to be difficult for us generally in the transfer market for the next few years, purely because whether we believe it or not, that's going to be in the back of Daniel Levy's mind,
Yeah, I think for me, very similar. But I think for me, the only difference is I like to think of times like when, like when Liverpool went in Europe or when Chelsea went in Europe. And not only, I guess, did it give them time to work things out and to work their way up the table, I feel like it gave them chance to get away from the idea of buying the marquee player to finish your squad. I feel like we've had that dream for a long time that we're going to buy this marquee player, or we're going to buy someone who's going to change the squad. And sometimes I feel like the marquee players are already there and we have to start filling in the gaps a bit more. I feel like that's somewhere where we've failed a lot of times. So like when I speak about this, I mean, like I look at the Liverpool squad right now. Cool, you have a few marquee players, but were they marquee players when Liverpool bought them? And I'm thinking in terms of like Mane,
Robertson,
Salah.
Yeah, it's true, man. That's a great point, man.
These guys
apart from really Alisson, really, the rest of them weren't really big household names,
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like even with players like Oxlade-Chamberlain, like sometimes they're just squad players, cool, but like he had to go above and beyond to get that level of squad player. Do you get what I mean? Like he had to pay quite a bit, I think, to get that. And I think that's where we're missing a bit. We're not competitive in those areas. Like we have the first team, I really like it, and then we get to the bench sometimes and it starts struggling. Like and then I look at the way we spend money. Like, have you guys heard of Jack Clark, right? I have to ask these days, bro, because it's like, does he even play football?
What's he saying these days?
He ain't even catching ghost minutes, man, at the end of games, man. It's deep.
It's peak. And yeah, I mean, like, that's the kind of... And then with Mourinho in front of the squad, it's like, is that likely to happen? Because it's not... I don't think it will be a situation where we go into Europa League and start playing youth players and giving Skip and all these guys minutes. It seems more like a thing where we go into those games looking to win them and play terrible, like, if you get what I mean, and just not really trying to get that run of games for playing well, just that run of victories against all odds. And I just don't think it's likely. That's my take on it. Don't know if you guys agree, but yeah, I feel like we need to, like, one thing for me, I just think Spurs, when it comes to Spurs and spending money, we're not good at it, man. Like, we get, you get some good players sometimes.
So many mistakes, man.
So many mistakes. Like, even when we get it right, we get it wrong. Like, and Ndombele, like, how many minutes has he played? Like, don't get it twisted. I love him. I think he's gonna kill it for us. but I couldn't say this season, sorry, was a success for him.
I'm hurting.
He'll come back stronger after the 80th.
Yeah. Hopefully, man.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
But yeah, boys, I think I've touched everything that's on my list. You guys gonna drop anything else in, or?
I was going to ask, like, do you guys think he is doing the same thing with Ndombele like he had done with Pogba at United?
I genuinely think he is. I think he hates him. I think he's literally looking at him. He's like, because Jose is like, I like my centre mids to do one job. Unless you're Frank Lampard and you're in the box scoring goals, because Drogba wasn't at one point. I want you at the back, defending, running, conditioning, all this kind of stuff. I genuinely think he hates Ndombele, like with a passion. I think he looks at him and he makes him sick.
Yeah, no, it's deep, you know. Like I look at him and I think it's not that. Let's be honest, it's not that this kid ain't talented. I just think he is not the type of player that will do the job that Mourinho wants. Like when I look at someone like Sissoko's 30, so he's coming towards the end of his career. But Mourinho can 100% trust Sissoko because he knows that if I ask him to stay in that right midfield sort of space and do the doggies for Aurier when he doesn't want to get back, I know he's going to do it. He can't ask the same of Ndombele because he knows that Ndombele, as much as he's a good player and very good on the ball, going back, he ain't going to do that for him. He ain't, and it's difficult because like I want to defend Ndombele for that sort of stuff. But then when you see like when he was, you know, didn't do any sprints in one half against Burnley, or like that video that appeared of him of not even putting like a tackle in against like Wolves, you're kind of like, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. I personally think it's very similar to the Pogba situation, and the Pogba situation is scary, man, because Pogba is a World Cup winner. Like he disrespected him in so many different ways, like, and it's crazy because when you watch Pogba now, you're like, the guy's a complete different level, like, and Mourinho didn't see that.
Well, you could take it as far back as like Hazard as well. Like he had a few moments with Hazard where it just, I wouldn't say it's exactly the same, but it just felt like the same kind of energy. Like it's like he just hates the best player on his team, no matter what team he goes to.
I was going to say similar to Juan Mata as well. Like he's kind of really technically gifted guys that don't put in a shift. He doesn't want them. He'd rather have guys like Ramirez running down the wing.
Yeah.
Imagine, I saw one stat the other day on Juan Mata. He done crazy numbers 1 year for Chelsea, like crazy. And this guy couldn't even get on the bench.
The annoying thing is, the year he omitted him from the team is the year he won the league as well, I think, with Chelsea. No? That's the only annoying thing. You're like,
Mourinho just feels justified. Even like that shit he had at United where he's just like, yeah, but I came second to City. He just ignores how many points difference there was with everyone else. He's like, yeah, but I came second. You know what I mean? Like, this guy performed enough witchcraft to make some Man United fans believe that McTominay is outside of Pogba. That is the level of witchcraft I never want to feel in my life.
It's crazy because every United fan, the way they speak about Mourinho, I just feel like we fucked up. The way they speak with him, such disgust. I mean, not even Chelsea fans speak of him like that. Like, the way United fans just dust this guy, like, it's just, oh man.
He smells, boy.
Yeah. You just got to see which Mourinho we get, man. Apparently, he's not the special one anymore, innit?
because like I personally, I don't know with that situation as well. I used to be like in denial about Ndombele's condition. I was just like, no, it's fine. Like, we had our first home game against Villa, and I'd say like Ndombele was the best player. Like in that, my mate was texting me like, "Oh, his legs are gone. Like he's blowing. What's going on?" He just created a chance and he just scored. I was just like, "Are you sure?" And then like he kept on getting this recurring hip injury. And Mourinho called him out, I think twice. Yeah. And I don't want to believe it is the same as Pogba, but at the same time, like he's been trying to help him during lockdown. Like I honestly, I'm on the fence with that one.
More will be revealed.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully,
it'll be an interesting summer pre-season, that's for sure.
In the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
I'll let you guys do the references. He'll come back like Vegeta when he went to that different planet to turn Super Saiyan.
Boys, predictions for the next game?
Is that Leicester?
Leicester at home, yeah. Leicester
yeah.
at home.
You know what? Oh, Leicester,
Other game.
they're in a little bit of free fall. I'm not gonna lie. Like Rodgers, I think Rodgers' bottle-ish mentality is starting to rub off on them, man. They still don't have Maddison.
Did they win today?
Yeah, they
They
did.
did. They did.
Oh, Vex.
They beat Sheffield 2-0.
So that's good for us, but then like for them, because they went on a bit of a little bit of a bad run, weren't they? Like they took Sheffield out of that. Don't know, man. I'm saying home win, man. Like we're in good form. We ain't conceded much like lately. I'd say 2-0 Spurs.
2-0. Okay.
2-0 Spurs.
Say if Maddison doesn't play, then definite win. Because they won't have the creativity to free that deep block.
I don't think he played today, to be honest. So
hopefully Delhi's back for that one as well.
So
Delhi should be
suspended.
He's suspended?
So Yunchu, he's still suspended.
Yeah, 100%.
He got free.
Yeah.
To be fair, Leicester won today, but they won with Wes Morgan, who's what, like 49 now?
Yeah.
Defending. Like, if Harry Kane doesn't score 7, then the refund.
Wes Morgan is the slowest Jamaican I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, you're funny that was Morgan, yeah? But oh my god, my brother, he used to always say to me, whenever the strikers come up to Wes Morgan, they say, "So what? You want to defend?" And he'd always say in like a Jamaican accent, "Defending, we don't have that."
Man, like Captain Morgan, you know.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, if Wes Morgan is playing, yeah, that's too much holding handwork for Johnny Evans. I'm gonna say Vardy's Vardy. Vardy will probably bag. So I'm gonna say 2-1. 2-1 Spurs.
Cool, man. I think, I think I don't think we're gonna get a clean sheet, man. I'll be honest. I think it's a 2 or 3-1 Spurs. I know I just can't see them dealing with Kane and Son, especially if you play them in that 4-4-2.
The way they set up definitely suits how we've been playing the last couple of games. Give us an opportunity to just soak up some pressure, hit them on the break. So I'd say we probably score about 3 against them. Maybe concede 1 or 2.
We need a Man United loss today.
What's the scores?
Winning 1-0 without a pen.
Without a pen? What?
Without
Who scored?
Rashford without a pen.
Dashy.
Crazy.
Boys.
Definitely getting top 4, bro.
No, don't worry, man. I think we can still get 61 points in it. Oh no, yeah, we can't get top 4. About that.
Forget that dream era, man.
Forget it. I was holding on, bro. Thin, something like Lucas Moura's hairline, bro. Holding on. But yeah, man. All right. Till next week, boys.
Love boys.
That's it, man. Love boys. W Hotel on that.
Let's go.
Come on.
W gang.
Safe.
And
Nice.